There are no obviously good ideas in strategy. The very same strategy that you saw somebody else employ to great effect could be completely the wrong idea for you, the wrong strategy for you. And the same strategy that you have employed previously might just be the wrong strategy as well. How you set your target market, your channel, your product, your pricing, your competitive strategy, that is everything. How you set those depends on the answer to one simple question. Get that right and strategy's a walk in the park. Get it wrong and you're dead. So what's that one thing that you need to know? Well, I actually don't care whether you're a startup or the gorilla in your market. What we do care about is how obvious the decision to buy at all is to your target market. Let me explain. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to set your strategy around your market, not your product. So we've all seen one of these, right? You know, a maturity model. Laggards, early adopters, they're terms that even our kids use. We understand these terms, we know what they mean. So where are you and where are your competitors on this model? It turns out that's completely the wrong question. I don't care where you are. The question is, where is your buyer? Let me explain why. Imagine an early adopter. No one else has bought before, so they have no proof. What is it that they're looking for? Well, they're willing to make the bet to be the first to come on board to a new product if they can get some advantage. So should you be selling to this vertical market or this vertical market? Well, the answer is neither of those. There isn't yet a vertical market. There's a propensity or a willingness, a capacity to be the first in their market. So you should be selling really broadly, kind of anybody who looks like an early adopter who might gain some early advantage, and you'll learn from it. Should you be selling a complete solution? Well, actually, if they're an early adopter, they probably want to bend the solution a bit. So it's an incomplete solution with a lot of service wrapped around it, a lot of flexibility. And pricing? Well, they don't know what your product costs to make yet, and you may not either. They don't know your costs. What they do know is what's the commercial benefit of embracing this, less some factor for risk. That's called value pricing. So your pricing strategy needs to be value priced. So if you're selling to an early adopter market where you think most of the market is really just made up of these early risk takers, what should your strategy be? Well, you want to be selling directly because they want to buy from you directly. You're the innovator, they want to deal with you directly. And you probably want to deal with them because you'll learn a lot. Selling broadly because you don't know where the target market is yet. Selling a slightly, in fact even deliberately incomplete product, which you make complete with some flexible services. You're value pricing it. And that's the strategy that's going to win for the early market. So it is the right strategy for the early market, and it's completely the wrong strategy for the next group of buyers. Well, this is where Geoffrey Moore's Chasm theory comes in. It kind of works like this. The next group of buyers are those who were not willing to be the first on board. They're not laggards by any stretch of the imagination. They're just not the early risk takers. What is it that they were waiting for? What didn't they have that allowed them to buy? Confidence. They needed some kind of proof. This next group of buyers are pragmatists, and they need a little bit of proof before they're willing to adopt. So what should your strategy be? Guess what? Give them the proof they want. What's the best way to give them proof? Well, firstly, you want to target a small market. Whereas before you were going broad, now you're going narrow, because that small market, you can then dominate that small market, and they'll look around and say, gee, it seems like everybody just like me is buying from you. Maybe it's okay to do it. That's the first thing we want to do. And we probably want to make a complete solution now for that small market, because these are not the risk takers. Once we've dominated that first target market, we're really strong, we're clearly the gorilla in that first market, then we can use our success here to sell into another market. maybe another couple of markets. So use your strength in one market to sell into 2 more markets. And use your strength in those 2 more markets to sell into 4 more markets, and so it goes. Leveraging your strength as you go, and that's what Geoffrey Moore calls the bowling alley, because you're using the momentum from your early markets to win your later markets. So if we've been successfully entering and winning the right to serve each of these markets all the way through, at some point we've got multiple niches that have become ours. And really the buyers now in other markets that you haven't even targeted know that it's safe to buy. And that's the tornado. That's the fastest growth period of any market, where the buyers in that market say, look, it's not a question of whether I buy, it's a question of whether I buy from you or from somebody else. And that's when our strategy has to change again. There's no point targeting a niche because everybody's going to buy. There's no point selling directly because the buyer wants to buy from whomever they want to buy from. And you just don't have enough arms and legs to sell to the whole market. So now we need our channel. And pricing, whereas before we've been preserving profits, now we're probably going to drive pricing down to drive our competitors out of the market. Very different strategies at each point as our markets mature. And then when the market does mature, when it kind of maxes out at the top of the curve up here, when it maxes out, the market's at its biggest point, but it's just not growing anymore, the buyers know what they need, and they'll start to dictate terms to you. What should your strategy be? Well, kind of accommodate whatever they need. They probably don't want you to bundle the product anymore. They want to buy it from you in a piecemeal fashion. I know what that does, and I know what that does, and I want that bit from you and that bit from somebody else. So the strategy now becomes really reflecting what the buyer's ready for. Well, frankly, it's been at that all the way through. It's just that they're different stages of readiness. The buyer is ready for something different at every stage. And so must our strategy be different at every stage. So the person who enters your business and says, we should, insert your favourite strategy comment here, sell through channels, vertical strategy, whatever their favourite element of strategy is, stop and reflect. Where's my market? In a moment or two, I'll show you how we do that in Funnel Plan. But before I do, let me do 2 things. Firstly, I'll draw the conclusions. That is, what should we do based on this learning from Geoffrey Moore? The second thing I'll do is to invite you to subscribe to the blog. Let's get to the conclusion first. Firstly, you want to get your team together. Get the leadership team, get sales, get marketing, operations, finance, CEO, all get together and work out for each of the product categories that you compete in, where do you think your target market is in terms of maturity? In fact, slice it even more granularly than that. For every product category, for each of the target markets that you have for that category, how mature are they? And work out where the majority of the market is right now. Build your strategy around what the buyers for that stage of maturity are ready for. Should you be selling direct, indirect, value pricing, market pricing, etc.? Set the strategy and then do one additional thing. Build a plan for the next stage in the maturity. Why? Because as soon as you start to see signs that your market's maturing and they're ready for the next stage, you need to be ready to execute on that next stage. Well, if you enjoyed this blog, then can I invite you to subscribe for more. If you go to mathmarketing.com/blog, you're going to find there 2 options. Firstly, you can subscribe to get the latest updates whenever they occur. We do them twice a week. Once a week is this video blog. Once a week, another blog from one of our funnel coaches in the network. If you subscribe to the blog, you'll get 2 emails a week advising you of the latest blogs that we're sharing. The other option will be to subscribe to Funnel Vision Monthly. Now the monthly is like an editor's grab. We select the best that's been available during the month, but not just from the blog, also from the wiki and from other sources. So you may want to choose to subscribe to both. A lot of people do. Either way, go to mathmarketing.com/blog and choose your preferred option. Okay, here's how we do this in Funnel Plan. Now, you probably know that we already have chosen the target market. Well, the target market is the types of organisation and the roles within those organisations most impacted by the problem that you've chosen. Now, for each of those target markets, or if you like segments, we're going to identify how mature each of those segments are in terms of this problem. Are they really early in their understanding of it, or are they really mature in their understanding of it? And you're going to choose early market, bowling alley, that's where the pragmatists start to come on board, tornado, which is the fast growth period of the market, Main Street, where the market's big but it's no longer growing, or end of life, where it's in decline. Identify where each of your target segments are, mark it in funnel plan. Now you see this other stuff on the right over here, I'm going to explain that on another day, because that helps us work out how much of our effort we should be applying to branding versus demand for each of those target segments, now that we understand how mature they are. But I'll save that for another day. In the meantime, may your funnel be full and always flowing.